Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Here we are again today with another video. If you are new to my channel or you don't know who I am, I lost a total of 130 pounds by doing keto, intermittent fasting, and exercising in a fasted state. And I did lose majority of my weight by intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting can be difficult to understand, and in addition to that, it can be potentially dangerous if you don't know how to start and break a fast properly. So today I do want to go over with you some of the best foods that you can break your intermittent fast with in a safe manner. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I did lose 130 pounds by intermittent fasting, and of course exercising and my diet coupled with that did help me with my weight loss journey. But I believe that intermittent fasting did help me regulate my health, and it helped me accelerate my weight loss. When I was on my weight loss journey, I did eat only one meal a day, aka eating OMAD. I have been practicing intermittent fasting for a very long time now, over 2 years, and there are right and wrong ways that you can go about fasting, and it is extremely important when you are going on any type of weight loss journey, especially if you are changing your eating pattern to accomplish a bodily goal. You want to do that in a healthy manner, and you want to not hurt yourself, because there are certain things that you need to eat right before breaking a fast to ensure your safety. If you are new to the concept of intermittent fasting, I am just going to break it down for you. Intermittent fasting is when you abstain from food for a certain period of time to accomplish some type of health need or bodily result. So for example, usually if you aren't intermittent fasting, you are just eating whenever you would feel like it. Usually people who do not intermittent fast, they wake up in the morning and they eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner and things like that. But when you are intermittent fasting, instead you are going to be abstaining from eating from the time that you wake up until usually around the afternoon, and then you eat your meals within the afternoon, and then you cut off eating at a certain time. The most basic type of intermittent fasting method is the 16 to 8 intermittent fasting method. So hypothetically, you would eat from the hours of 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then you would stop eating at 7 p.m. And this is because after 8 hours of not eating, hence the 16 to 8 intermittent fasting method, your body naturally gets into the state of ketosis because your insulin levels will fall down after that period of time. There are different types of intermittent fasting methods to choose from. You don't just have to do the 16 to 8 intermittent fasting method. You can do the 23 to 1 hour fasting method, which is what I did on my weight loss journey. You can do alternate day fasting, where some days you eat, some days you don't. Or if you want to eat a certain amount of calories on one day and then lower calories or higher calories on the next day, you can do the 20 to 4 hour fasting method. It really depends on what you are comfortable with and what you are willing to choose. I am not a health professional. I solely speak on my experience from my own personal weight loss journey. Therefore, I cannot say if intermittent fasting is completely safe or not. However, I have been intermittent fasting myself, and I did use intermittent fasting during my weight loss journey, and I never had any type of health complications or anything dangerous really happen to me while I have been intermittent fasting. Now, of course, everybody is different, and different people have different types of health concerns, and you should consult a medical professional before you try to do anything. So the term breaking a fast basically means the time that you are going to start eating at. So if you are doing, for instance, the 16 to 8 intermittent fasting method, then you are fasting from up until 11 a.m. So technically at 11 a.m. that would be when you would break your fast, and of course you would break your fast with any type of food. If your goal is to continuously intermittent fast or extend an intermittent fast, you would have to not break that fast. And the things that break a fast in general are calories. So if you are interested in prolonging your fast or not getting out of a state of ketosis, you have to not eat anything at all, but you can drink things that don't have any calories or sugar in them. You have to be very careful with the foods that you decide to break your fast with. Just because when you are in a state of ketosis, or aka intermittent fasting, your insulin levels are down, which is the goal of intermittent fasting. However, anytime you eat anything anything at all, your insulin will automatically spike up, and we want to avoid this just so it isn't dangerous. So we want to choose foods that will allow us to break out of the state of ketosis, re-nourish our body, but also not raise our insulin levels too high. So the first food that I would recommend that could help you break a fast in a safe manner is by eating, or aka drinking, bone broth. Now this could be really good for you just because of the water content in it. It has low sodium, it doesn't have any type of sugar and carbs in it, which is essential because if you are breaking a state of ketosis, you do not want to raise your insulin levels too high. Sugar raises your insulin levels very high, but also high amounts of carbs do too, and we are trying to avoid that spike in our insulin altogether. So bone broth would be my number one option for you if you are deciding to break a fast. The next food that I would recommend for you to break a fast with is spinach or kale. Now, any type of non-starchy vegetable would be perfect for you to break a fast just because it doesn't have any excess starch. Excess starch does turn into carbs, and any high amounts of carbs will automatically raise your insulin and turn into sugar, and we want to avoid that insulin spike. So spinach specifically will re-nourish you just because it has high amounts of vitamins, good vitamins inside of it, and it can help you maintain your blood sugar instead of spiking it. It also has levels of iron inside of it. It also has a good content of water inside of it as well. The next food that I would recommend for you to break your fast with is eggs. Now, eggs are really good, especially if you are trying to get into a state of ketosis or maintain a state of ketosis, or if you are trying to break a fast and not raise your insulin levels too high. Eggs are a really good type of food source just because in itself they have the perfect macros, just because they have a great percentage of saturated fat in them. On top of that, they have an adequate amount of protein in them, and they barely have any sugar or carbs in them, and they are also very nutritional to eat. On top of eggs having the perfect type of macros, they are also very easy to digest. That could be very beneficial when you are trying to break a fast, just because you don't want to overwhelm your system, especially if you are eating after not eating for a certain period of time. When I was on my weight loss journey, I was following the ketogenic diet, and this diet contains high fat and moderate protein and no sugar or no carbs. And usually on that diet, I did eat a lot of eggs, especially in the morning times, just because they help you stay in ketosis and they are easy to digest. A common way that people get into a state of ketosis is by following an egg fast for this very reason. You eat about 6 eggs a day for about the span of 3 days to help your body regulate its blood sugar levels, and on top of that, to get your body in a natural state of ketosis, because eggs do have ketogenic macros. If you guys are interested in how to follow a specific egg fast or my exact meal plan that I used on my weight loss journey, I do have a weight loss course out right now that basically gives you a 7-day meal plan, and it also breaks down the ketogenic diet and on top of the mechanisms of weight loss and intermittent fasting. The next food that is really good for you to break a fast with is nuts. Now, nuts are very vitamin rich. They are full of fiber. They are full of nutrients inside of them. They're actually considered a superfood. The downside to eating nuts is the carb count. A small amount of nuts, about a handful, will have about 30 to 50 grams of carbs in it. So if you do overeat on nuts, they can make you feel hungrier. Nuts can help you introduce carbs back into your system in a very safe manner. The next food that I would recommend for you to break a fast with is avocados. Avocados do have some carbs in them, and they do have low amounts of sugar. I believe one whole avocado has about 2 to 4 grams of sugar inside of it, and that is good because we want to maintain our blood sugar levels. We don't want our blood sugar to get too low or too high. So having some type of carb in it, especially if it is a superfood like nuts or avocados, or anything that can allow us to introduce nutrients back into our system, but also not spike our insulin levels, so it'll be really great. And as I mentioned, avocado is a superfood. It is very nutrient dense, and it is a healthy type of fat. The next food that I would recommend for you to break a fast with is watermelon. Usually when you are breaking breaking a fast, you want to stay away from any type of sugar when you are trying to break a fast, just because you don't want your insulin levels to spike up, because high insulin levels can be dangerous. However, watermelon does have a lot of nutrients, a lot of vitamins in it, and it does have a very high percentage of water. And on top of that, just a little bit of watermelon can make you feel really, really satiated. Any food such as avocado, nuts, any type of saturated fat or unsaturated fat, anything that has a low amount of sugar or carbs in it, or a high percentage of water such as watermelon, will help you feel fuller for longer, and it also will help with the process of intermittent fasting. The next thing that I would recommend for you to break a fast with is coffee or tea. Now, coffee or tea is not necessarily a type of food, but it is something that people usually break their fast with. If you are trying to stay in an intermittent fasted state, you would drink your coffee black or your tea without cream or sugar. Now, if you are trying to break a fast, you could do something like Bulletproof Coffee, which is considered a meal or a type of snack. Bulletproof Coffee is basically coffee that has butter in it, and that allows you to get your fat inside of it, to get your calories back, but also hydrate you as well and not spike your insulin levels. Coffee or anything that is water-based, any type of non-starchy vegetable, will be really helpful for you because it will help with blood sugar regulation. It will help with water intake, which is essential, especially if you are intermittent fasting. Just remember that to not break a fast, you can have coffee or tea, but it has to be completely plain. But if you are trying to break your fast, you can drink coffee, but add some type of creamer or some type of fat inside of it, and that will allow you to safely break your fast. Next food that I would recommend for you to break a fast with is any type of chicken or fish. Now, this is because fish, more specifically, does have amino acids with inside of it, and you are getting your protein intake and also not spiking your insulin because of the lack of sugar within any type of meat source. Now, it is more recommended that you would have fish or any type of plain chicken rather than any type of red meat, just because fish and chicken are more easily digestible, whereas red meat is very, very hard on our digestive system. Red meat specifically does take a very, very long time for our body to break down. So having some type of meat source such as fish or chicken to allow you to get your protein and your nutrients up, but also not stress out your digestive system, will be beneficial to you. Last but not least, the best thing that you could break a fast with when you are intermittent fasting is any type of non-starchy vegetable. Now, I did kind of cover this in the beginning of the video, but any type of non-starchy vegetable would be perfect for you. Starches are complex carbs, and they are hard for our body to break down. Things that you should avoid specifically while you are trying to break your fast is anything that has a high amount of starch, sugar, or carbs. As I mentioned before, I did go on a weight loss journey where I lost 100 pounds in only 4 months, and I did accomplish this with the help of the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting. And I do have a weight loss course out right now that specifically breaks down the keto diet, which abstains from high levels of sugar. And on top of that, I also break down the specifics of intermittent fasting. If you guys are interested in getting it, I will link it down below. After I went on my weight loss journey, I transitioned into being a vegan, where I lost an additional 30 pounds. And I do have a second YouTube channel where I talk about my vegan lifestyle if you guys aren't interested in eating any type of meat or dairy products. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.